years or so. In 1912, a team led by a British amateur paleontologist by the name of Charles Dawson discovered a fossil, the jaw of which exhibited ape-like characteristics, although the cranium itself had human features. The fossil was given the name Piltdown Man and was exhibited as definitive proof of evolution in the world's best-known museums over the following 40 years. The fossil possessed a number of very interesting features. Although the cranium had quite a large volume, its jaws resembled that of an orangutan, on which were two molar teeth, again similar to those in human beings. These characteristics stunned the scientific world. A scientific classification, Eonathropus dawsoni, was soon produced for this fossil, which began being referred to as Piltdown Man. It was estimated to be around 500,000 years old. It was thus depicted as supposed evidence for the claim that human beings and apes are descended from a common ancestor. An air of rejoice immediately began dominating the evolutionist press. The impact of the fossil on the world of paleontology was truly enormous. So enormous that some 500 doctoral theses would be written about it over the next 40 years, until it was understood to be a hoax. This fossil, which symbolized the alleged victory of evolution, was put on display in the British Museum, one of the most famous in the world. It was examined not only by famous scientists from all over the world, but also by countless visitors. But Piltdown Man's victory was thus to be short-lived. In 1949, Kenneth Oakley from the British Museum's Paleontology Department developed a new method of determining the age of fossils. He began using this technique, to which he gave the name of the fluoride test, on the fossils in the museum. Oakley was stunned by the reality of what the test results revealed about the Piltdown Man skull. The jawbone contained no fluoride. There was very little in the cranium. This meant that the jawbone was just a few years old, and the skull was a few hundred years old at the most. As the investigations intensified, an enormous reality emerged. The fossil that was once the best known proof of evolution was actually a hoax. The jawbone belonged to a recently deceased orangutan, and the cranium to a human being who had died some 500 years previously. On close examination, it could be seen that the teeth had been subsequently attached to the jaw and abraded using steel tools. Finally, it had been dipped in a solution of potassium dichromate in order to give it an ancient appearance. Detailed analysis by Joseph Weiner definitively proved that the fossil was a hoax. LeGros Clark, a professor of anatomy from Oxford University, was one of those scientists who revealed the fraud. At the end of his investigations, he said, "Indeed, so obvious did they, the scratches, seem that it will be asked, how was it that they had escaped notice before? They had never been looked for. Nobody previously had examined the Piltdown jaw with the idea of a possible forgery in mind, a deliberate fabrication. All the time and effort the scientists had put into examining and interpreting the fossil had been devoted to an expertly manufactured hoax." The professor of anthropology, Clark Howell, made the following comment: Piltdown was first discovered in 1953 to have been nothing more than an ape's jaw, placed with a human skull. It was a hoax placed on purpose. They recognized neither the jaw to be an ape's or the skull to be a human's. Instead, they declared each part as an in-between of ape and human. They dated it to be 500,000 years old, gave it a name, Eonanthropus dawsoni, or Dawn Man, and wrote some 500 books on it. The discovery fooled paleontologists for 45 years.